Hi, so one of the advantage of slope-intercept form is that you can graph the equations very easily. Now, this is less important now that we have graphing calculators at our fingertips, but it's still valuable because even if you don't actually graph it, you can visualize the graph and make a quick sketch. So let me explain how. If the equation's in slope-intercept form, then you can immediately isolate what is the slope and what is the y-intercept. And then using those two numbers, you can make your sketch. So the very first thing is when you have it in slope-intercept form, which is again that y equals mx plus b form, the number multiplying x is the slope. The number being added is the y-intercept. Now this number, the adding number, is generally what we think of first when we go to plot it, because we can immediately imagine that the line is going to touch the y-axis at that point. And on the y-axis, every x value is 0, and so the other number is the y-intercept. And that's our starting point, at least for graphing. And then we can use the slope, which is the numerator is the change in y variable. It tells us how much the y goes up from point to point. And the run tells us the change in the x variable. And so we can just draw our new point by starting at the y-intercept and using those changes. So let me give you an example. So here is our equation. Y equals 3/2 x minus 1. It's in slope-intercept form. There's our slope. -1 is our y-intercept. So I plot 0b, 0, -1. Now my slope is 3/2. I'm going to bring that over here. The numerator is how y is changing. Y increases by 3 every time x increases by 2. So the y change up 1, 2, 3. Now I want to be clear. I'm not counting any boxes. The y change is 3, so it goes from -1 up to 2. The x change is 2, so the x value here is 0. It goes over 2. And I could do that a couple times. 1, 2, 3, up to 5, over to 4. And once I get a few points, then I can graph it. I can sketch it. Oops. This is going to be my challenge. Okay. And it goes up and up. Okay. Now, sometimes when you're looking at the graph, I should say the equation, I know that's the slope, the number multiplying. I know that's the y-intercept. But the slope isn't a fraction. So how can I see the rise and the run? Well, I know I can write any number that's not a fraction as a fraction. And then I can continue. So the slope is -2/1. The y-intercept is 2. So I plot that first. 0, 2. And then I look over here. Now, one of the two numbers is negative. So that means that it's either -2/1 or 2/-1. Both of these are equivalent to -2. I'm going to use this definition first. The change in y is net down 2 because it's negative, right 1. That would give me this point. And I can do it again. Or I could use this definition. The change in y is positive, so I go up. The change in x is negative, so I go back. And you can see they still create a straight line. What you can't do is say they're both negative, because two negatives would make a positive. And so just by seeing the graph, I should say, looking at the equation and seeing the graph from the equation. This is the slant of the line is going down. This is where it's starting on the y-axis. So even if in this day with all this technology, you never have to graph by hand those tables over and over again like I did as a student, it's invaluable to be able to look at the equation and see what's going on.